What's up guys, Brando back here again for the first time in a very long time with a pickup video. I think it's been since like April that I filmed one for like March or whatever, but I did slow down buying games, and it's just now that I have enough games to kind of fill up a video to sort of talk about it at length. So I'm just gonna get started. Back in April, I went up and hung out with Nate a little bit up in his neck of the woods, and of course, you know, he's like, hey, you want to hit up our disc replay? And I'm like, of course. So I picked up Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls on the Game Boy Advance, and then I picked up Splatterhouse on the 360. Now Splatterhouse is really interesting because this is like a remake of an old game on like the TurboGrafx, and I think Splatterhouse 2 and 3 were on the Genesis, and I believe you can get those versions on here along with the original arcade version. But really gory, really heavy metal. Really, like the main character kind of reminds you of Jason or something like that. But this next one here, this one's actually like a holdout. This is like really late March. I actually forgot to include it in the video for March, but this is Castlevania Circle of the Moon on the Game Boy Advance. And my buddy Mike picked this up for me, and thanks Mike. And I am finally getting to it to talk about it in the video so I can finally put it up. The next run of games are all games that I got from one of my favorite stores locally, Disc Replay. Really good prices. Most of these were on the super cheap. So I'm just going to sort of go down them pretty quickly. The first one is Grand Theft Auto Episodes of Liberty City. Now, I actually have both of these, but I remember when I picked up the first one, the Lost and the Damned. It was exclusive to the 360, and so I had a 360, so I bought it just to play it. And then I ended up picking up the Ballad of Gay Tony on the PS3 because that's where I had the actual core game. So I picked this up because anytime that I see any like sort of like digital or like DLC stuff that comes out in physical disc, I want to own it. So here's this, I added that, only a few dollars. Same thing, only a few bucks, Infamous 2. So now I have all of the Infamous games that they put out, except for the DLC one, which was only available on disc, I do believe, in the States when it was with the like the 2-in-1, but I'm already sort of past that. I'm not gonna trade these in to get that. I did get the DLC on like flash sale or something for a few bucks. The next one here is Alan Wake for the 360. I like, you know, Remedy stuff. I like the Max Payne stuff, and I've been just waiting to get this. It just sort of kind of came and at the right price at the right time. Speaking of right price, Darksiders 2. I've never played any of these, but I saw this for $2. I could not say no, and I actually had to do a double take because, I mean, it says not packaged for individual resale, so it had to have come in sort of like a box set of some sort. But I just couldn't figure out if this was actually the full game or a demo, because I looked on the inside and it says the Crucible Pass, and I didn't know if that was anything, or because this was made by THQ or put out by THQ, and they're long since gone. But to unlock the full experience, I didn't know if this was like some weird promotion they had going on, but it looks like it's the full game. I put it in, tried it out. The next one here is one that has been on my radar for a while. It's always sort of around the $30 range, and I happen to just catch it at a good price, and that is Tales of Vesperia. I'm a huge RPG fan, and anytime that I see anything sort of exclusive, I try to grab it, especially RPGs for the 360, because you just don't see a whole lot of Japanese RPGs that are exclusive to the 360, and stuff like this is like a title that they put up to try to entice the Japanese gamers to sort of get on board with the 360 in Japan, and it never really worked. I mean, I have the with Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and stuff like that. I have that already, and so it's really cool to get this one because I like the Tales series and I want to get more of them, but you know, RPG titles have a tendency to keep their value longer than some other titles. So when those like other Tales games for the PS3 kind of go down a little bit more, that's when I'll be picking those up. The last two here are for the Xbox. The first one is Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. This is getting a little bit on the expensive side. I want to say I picked this up for about $12 or something, but a little bit more than what I was wanting to pay for it, but it's starting to climb, and especially the second one. The second one is really climbing up, and I think I saw it for up in the 20s or something like that. But if you like your over the head sort of hack and slash team up games, like you can team up with your buds and just go around and just beat the crap out of stuff, check this out. I think this is also on the PS2, and it might also be on the GameCube, but I am not sure. The last one is a platformer, fun platformer, Dr. Muto. This was super cheap, guys, couple bucks, and that was it. And this is just sort of a little like niche title. It may have come out on the PS2 also, but it's just weird and quirky, and I just like games like that. So I had to pick that up, especially only for a few bucks. The next couple here I got on another trip to that store. I got the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Genesis. Now I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually love playing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo. Well, I had no idea that this was an entirely different game. This is more like a fighting game. And so I sat down and played this and tested it out, and I was really surprised to see this was not the same game. Now, I do know that the Power Rangers, the movie game on Genesis, is also on there, and I think that is the same, you know, across the two games. Because I absolutely love the Super Nintendo version. I'm like, oh, Genesis version, okay, I'll just grab it for that, you know, whatever. Now I gotta go get the one for Super Nintendo because they're two different games. And I had no idea. I should have done my homework. Next one, I had the box. I don't know if you remember in a pickup video I did a long time ago, but I came out of work one day and there was an N64 box sitting there, the whole bunch of Super Nintendo boxes. And this was in there, Buster Bust Loose, Tiny Toons, and I happened to get the cart for like $4. So I completed my set. And now, this is sort of a weird one, but the box is in such good condition. I wish my Chrono Trigger box was in this good a shape, but pretty cool to get this complete. I'm not going for a complete collection for Super Nintendo, it's just I happened to see it and was like, I remember playing that from a kid. I would have bought it anyway, but having it in the box is just a plus. This next one, NES Double Dragon 3. Now I have the other two that I got from various NES deals that I did. So I found this and it's not very good. I prefer, I believe it's the first one. It's the only one I really like, but I had to get it because it was pretty cheap and I wanted to complete it. So there's Double Dragon 3. These next two I picked up from Game Exchange. Now I don't know if it's everywhere, but my two local game exchanges around here changed their name to like Gaming HQ. So if anybody else lives near a game exchange and they've changed their name, please let me know, because that may have just been like our two around here that changed. Maybe they separated, they're no longer affiliated, but I picked up Zelda The Wind Waker on the GameCube and Zelda Skyward Sword. So I have Wind Waker for Wii U, but I always wanted to sort of pick up the GameCube version, and I never played nor I never owned Skyward Sword. And Skyward Sword, unfortunately, it says it's the one that comes with the music disc, but there's no music disc and there's no manual if there was a manual. It is what it is. I came across this when I first started collecting, and then I hadn't seen it until I saw it this time, and I wanted to pick it up. I had the money to pick it up, so I went ahead and bought it. Same with this. I threw this in there, and funny story about this. I was in the store. I'm just looking around. You know, I see these. I also see a few other things that are catching my eye. Things that I would just be paying too much money for, but you know, when you have the money and you see something you want, it's hard to say no. So I went by these, I saw these, and I walked over, and then I walked away. I walked a little bit down, and then I was trying to debate whether I wanted to buy these or put it towards something a little bit more expensive, a little bit more rare. And I heard this teenager, this kid, preteen, I heard this kid say his mom, "Look, Zelda games, those are awesome." She goes, "Oh yeah?" And I went, "Excuse me, can you help me get some games out?" And I totally, if he was going to get these, kid, I apologize, but I totally sniped them because I wanted them, and I'm sorry if I sniped you, kid, but I had to own the Zelda games because I want to complete my Zeldas. I actually had a case for Wind Waker. My buddy Tony, back when I had a GameCube, he ended up giving me the case for Wind Waker, and it had a copy of Resident Evil 1, Disc 2. So that was really weird. But I think the version of this game I bought had like the bestseller sticker, but I had the original non-bestseller case already, so I just put it in there. Neither one of these have manuals. That's unfortunate, but such is life. Whatever. I have the games. That's what matters. These next 3 Wii games I actually bought with Nate when Nate was he came down for my, I believe it was the baby shower that he came down for my son, and we hung out and whatnot, and then we went into town, went to Disc Replay, and I picked up Sonic Colors, I picked up Super Mario Galaxy, and then I picked up The Blob. Now this is a pretty neat little quirky game. It's not much to say about here, it's just fun. Sonic Colors, I always wanted to own Sonic Colors, but again, I'm cheap and I try to get stuff as cheap as I can. Saw it for pretty cheap, picked it up finally. Super Mario Galaxy is one I want to talk about though, because this is a game that I always wanted to play, but I never really got a chance to play. And they had two versions. They had the player's choice. I haven't said player's choice, but it's Nintendo Selects, I guess, for the Wii. It's almost just like their greatest hits, like for PlayStation, or for platinum hits for Xbox. The non-platinum hits, greatest hits version of this, the non-one was going for like $20-something, and this was going for $12, and I just could not believe that there was that much of a price difference. Now, I know there are some collectors who just want to have the original non-altered box or anything like that. For me, I want the game. It's what I care about the most, and I want to get it as cheap as I can too, so I had to just go with this. I don't care. I mean, it's the same game. It's the same game with a little bit of extra, ribbon on it. Hey, this sold a lot, so we're gonna put this on it. It doesn't bug me that much, and it saves me some bucks. So I don't know if that's a thing where they're charging less for that, because I honestly was just not unsure, and I probably could have went up and asked them, but I just picked it up. It was nothing to really worry about for me. But moving on, well, I did an unboxing on this. It's Batman Arkham Knight. I'll put the unboxing down below if you want to see that. This game was interesting. I liked it a lot, but I was also a little disappointed with some of the boss fights. Pretty much there hardly are any. You're pretty much in the Batmobile the whole time for the boss fights. There's only one or two actual boss fights. I really liked the story. Some people didn't like sort of the twist at the end, or the identity of the Arkham Knight, which I won't spoil here. I didn't mind it. Honestly, it's just their version of it. I like the Arkham universe. I would not say that this is my favorite in this series. I probably would still go to Arkham City, but there's not a bad game in the series. There really isn't, unless you're not a fan of the Blackgate, the mobile game, the Vita game. And I have it on Vita. I think it's on DS. But if you're not like that, sort of the 2.5D, you might not like that. But in the actual core console games, there's not a bad game. These next games are all games I got from Goodwill over the course of July, I do believe. July, and I think there was a couple of August in here. First of all, Test Drive Off-Road. Now, all of these games cost $3 a piece, and now that's my Goodwill. Some Goodwills charge like $5, which is too much, especially for for some of these games here. But $3, I feel like I can pretty much, they're either right on the money or a little under what these games go for. So Test Drive Off-Road, PS1. I got the original Rock Band. So many memories playing the original Rock Band. That's pretty much the reason why I bought this, is memories. Because honestly, you could buy Rock Band 2 or 3 and have all the other ones because I still have them, because Rob owned this. He owned it back in the day, and I just borrowed his, but had to get it because $3, memories. ATV Off-Road Fury 3, I got 1 and 2, so I got the third one. That's pretty much the end of that one. Tekken Tag Tournament. Awesome game. Only ever played it in passing when it first came out. I like Tekken, so a couple bucks, picked that up. Final Fantasy X-2. Not the best Final Fantasy out there, but funny story is that a copy of this was donated to me, so I never actually paid for it before. And I found this there at Goodwill with manual, and the disc is actually in slightly better shape. So for $3, I said, okay, I'll do that. And this last one on the original Xbox, Secret Weapons over Normandy, I pretty much went, what is that? And then I picked it up. At first, it sort of looked like kind of like a budget title, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it really is or not, but it's published by LucasArts. And I flipped it over on the back, and it said, from the critically acclaimed creator of TIE Fighter and the X-Wing series. And I'm like, sold. Because those games were awesome. Now there's actually like content to download, DLC, on the original Xbox. They sort of kind of started that, but you can't get it now because the original Xbox doesn't have Xbox Live. Hopefully it's just like extra missions or whatnot. Nothing too important there. But moving on here, I went to the Gaming HQ, former Game Exchange, in Kokomo we were in that area, and I went there in search of this. This is the Super Game Boy. I wanted one because instead of buying a Game Boy player for the GameCube, which I couldn't find at the time, I ended up buying this, the Super Retro Advance adapter. Now, this plays Game Boy Advance games, but not regular Game Boy games. At the time, I didn't care, such as me. I got a good deal on it because it was a Cyber Monday deal. So now I want to play Game Boy games on my TV. Can't do it unless I buy the Game Boy player for the GameCube, which is like $30 to $50 depending on where you go. Or I just picked this up for like 10 bucks. So for this and this, it was like $30, so the price of a Game Boy Advance player for the GameCube. Whatever. They both play on the Super Nintendo. This one uses an its own AV out, so you need that. This one you just plug it in and play. It's no big to me. It is what it is, and I'm really excited to own one of these because I never had one. So lucky to have one now. When I was also there, I found a working designed game. Not one of the higher rated ones, but Gun Griffin Blaze. I'm a huge sucker for anything working designs, and this was like super freaking cheap, so I went ahead and just grabbed it while I was in there. So these next few here are just ones that I bought over the weekend that I'm filming this, and I picked up Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance on the Xbox for $2. I already own this for the PS2, but for $2 I couldn't say no. I tried it out, by the way, and the controls are whack. They're so messed up. So you aim with the X button, right? So the old MGS, it's not like the triggers. It's not how you aim and shoot. You hold the button and then you move it around and then you shoot. To go first person, you click the left stick instead of hitting, like, I think it's L1 or something like that. That's weird. That's so weird to me. I tried getting used to it, and it wasn't that bad, but I kept trying to hit the trigger and I kept opening up the menu. And this one I finally got MGS5 Ground Zeroes. Now, I didn't buy this when it came out simply because I didn't feel like paying full price for this, because this is so short. This is pretty much like the first chapter of MGS5. Kind of like the Tinker chapter was for Substance or for Sons of Liberty. This is what this is. It's like a prologue, and they put it out, and I think it was like $30. Rob bought it, I borrowed it from him, and I played it. Beat it in I sit there and beat it in like 45 minutes to an hour. It is what it was, and I gave it back to him. Now that Phantom Pain is here, and I'll be doing an unboxing of that when I get it, I wanted to have this to go along with it, so I went and picked it up. Not terribly expensive, I think it's probably about 12 to 15 bucks. This last one was freaking awesome because, you see, I go to a lot of stores and I buy stuff, and I always try to find it, sometimes the stores don't have it at its going price. I'll mark it down a little bit. So this was like not the greatest deal because I think it goes for like $35 to $40. But for 25 bucks, I picked up Final Fantasy II. Now, there's a reason why I pretty much just said, you know what, I'm going to buy this now, because if I don't, I'm going to regret it. And that's because I came across this a couple times, passed on it, and then I never see it. It's like, when I have the money, I never see it. When I don't have the money, I'll say, I'll just get it cheaper some other time. Such is the gaming collecting life. So I have every other version of Final Fantasy II, or aka Final Fantasy IV. So this is the last one. Now I have it, and that collection's complete other than getting a box and manual. As I said before, I don't really care about getting a full SNES box manual set, but for the Final Fantasies and other key titles, I'll definitely check it out and see if I can't get it on the cheap, or maybe I'll check it out on eBay. You might get a good deal on there, maybe, but I wouldn't say no. So Final Fantasy II, love this game. Anyway guys, that's my pickup from April to September. Pretty much all spring and summer. I'm not going to be buying a whole lot of games going into the fall, into the winter. I'm pretty much picking up MGS5, Phantom Pain, and Fallout 4. And then come around Christmas time, I'll probably pick up some ones I missed, like Rare Replay, or I'll pick up Tomb Raider then, Xenoblade, that's coming out on the Wii U. So I'll pick up that stuff then. I'll probably do a smaller video around Christmas time just to show you that. In the meantime, there's going to be other videos hopefully coming out. I want to try and edit a few videos that me and Nate did when he was down here. I want to do my unboxing for MGS5, and I want to do maybe even like some series stuff like Metal Gear or Zelda or Final Fantasy, or I even mentioned doing an entire PS1 retrospective of the games I have. So I'm going to try and do some stuff. Stuff is busy with work, with, you know, our kid that we just had. So it is going to be pretty busy. Videos will be sparse here and there. I'm going to try and get working more on that as I sort of get back into sort of my hobbies and the podcast and making videos and everything like that. I'm going to try and get that out, but please bear with me if there's a sort of a space of time in between them. I can only do this stuff in my spare time. This isn't my job or anything. I just do this for fun. So guys, thanks for watching. Put any comments down below if you have any, and hopefully I won't be too long before I make another one of these. So until next time.